Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't, please do hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and let's also interact on social media, Instagram and Twitter. I am K2 Tierra. I am so happy to be back. So today we'll be talking about hidden costs for the Talk program. They are not necessarily hidden because if you go into the Talk program's website, some of these costs are right there for you. You just need to read and figure out what's what. But here I am, your person who's got your back always, bringing you this information. Okay? So get ready, get your pens and papers and write this down because you will need it. So if I'm glancing down a lot, please don't be alarmed. Ring the alarm. Okay, no. Don't be alarmed. I'm just reading off of my list. Let's jump right into it. Number 1, you will need a passport. If you don't have a passport yet, it will cost you about 400 rands to apply for a new passport. So 400. So if you don't have a passport, that's the first thing you want to write on your list. Passport equals to 400 rands. Wabo? Yeah. Okay. Number 2. So if you have a list and you're writing all this down so you can calculate how much you will roughly spend or how much you will roughly need, first start by writing passport. This is if you don't have one. Passport equals to 400 rands, and you will also need pictures. And of course I'm not giving you a price for pictures because different people charge differently for pictures, so it will depend on where you go, how much they cost and whatnot. Okay. Number 2, visa. You will need a visa, of course, to come into Korea. You need the E2-2 visa, not the E2-1 visa. E22 visa, and take the single entry visa, which will cost you about 840 rands. Why single entry? Because once you get your ARC card, you'll be fine. You can leave and you can come in and out of Korea as many times as you want, I believe, once you have your ARC card. So a single entry visa will be okay, and that will cost you 840 rands. Number 3, flights. Flights vary from airline to airline, so it's not the same price. And it's also, if you're a good researcher, I guess you can find a really good price, but they cost plus minus about 7,000 rands or higher. Unless you want first class, first class, business class, then it won't be 7,000, definitely not. But yeah, do your research and you will get the most accurate price. The first 2 weeks that you arrive in Korea, you will be at the orientation. At the orientation, you don't have to pay for accommodation. You will get 3 meals a day, which you don't have to pay for. They're all covered for. So for those 2 weeks, you really don't need to spend anything. But some people, once we are done with classes for the day around 8-9 p.m. at night, some people used to leave and go to Gangnam or other places to visit and do some shopping. So it's really up to you, but you really do not need to spend much money the first 2 weeks during orientation when you first arrive to Korea. Number 4, food and home supplies. When you first arrive to your apartment, you are most likely going to get an empty apartment. So you might need to buy food, home supplies like toilet paper, things to clean your house with, beddings and linen and things like that. I spent about 280 to 300,000 Korean won when I first got here. I bought plates as well and cutlery and things like that. But I am with a school that has had previous Talk scholars. So I did come into an apartment that was well stocked, if I can say that. I found a microwave, blender, I found a lot of utensils, but I bought some more things for myself. I bought my own beddings and things like that. So those are the kind of things that you will most likely spend money on when you first arrive. Transportation, you might be lucky and walk to school. If you are placed close enough to your school, you might be lucky enough to just walk and spend nothing. Or you might spend plus minus 50,000 Korean won or less, which is about 630,000 rands. But I promise you, you will most likely not be like me and be so unfortunate, because I spend about 95,000 Korean won a month on transport, which is equivalent to 1,200 rands. And this was only for 16 days. This was for my first month, because I started work on the 4th of March and I got paid a little after the 25th of March. So that was like working days. It was about 16 working days that I spent on transportation, and so I spent about 95,000 Korean won, which was equivalent to 1,200 rands. But again, on transport, you cannot say, oh, maybe I need 1,000 for transport because K2 spend this much. No, it's really gonna be according to your school where you are placed. If you walk to school or you take a bus, some people really spend just about 30,000 a month or more or less. So it will depend on your situation. But bear in mind that you will probably need money for transport. I've got some good news. Yay! Settlement allowance. I actually didn't know that we were going to receive a settlement allowance. Imagine my excitement when I found out. So once you arrive, within the first 2 months of your arrival, you will receive your settlement allowance, which is the money that's supposed to help you with settling in, with buying cutleries and household things. If you are arriving into a completely empty apartment, for example, you are your school's first scholar, then 300,000 won is probably not going to be enough, but it will help nonetheless. And 300,000 won is equivalent to about 3,800 rands. I got my settlement allowance, I think a week or so before I got paid, before my first paycheck. Some people got their settlement allowance when they first arrived to their apartment. So it will really depend on your school, but you will most likely get it with your first paycheck. Next, entrance allowance. So there's an entrance allowance. Whether you're on a 6 month or a 12-month contract, you will receive a settlement allowance. Settlement allowance is about 1.3 million Korean won, which is equivalent to plus minus 14,000 rands. I think it's actually maybe a little more than, it's actually more than 14,000 rands. But that is your entrance allowance. Most people just take it as flight money, as the money you spend on your flight ticket coming back to you. So that's how a lot of people look at it. You will also most likely receive that money on the 5th month that you've been in Korea, or earlier, depending on your school. Next, there is an exit allowance. But if you are on a 6-month contract, you don't get an exit allowance. Only if you're on a 12-month contract. If you're on a 6-month contract and decide to extend for another 6 months or for another year, then you will be eligible for the exit allowance, which is 1.3 million Korean won once again. So once again, it is equivalent to a little bit more than 14,000 rands. If you're on a 6-month contract, no exit allowance. If you extend and stay here longer, you will get an exit allowance. More good news. If you have stayed with the top program for 2 years, you will get a bonus. I am not sure how much the bonus is, but I know that after 2 years of being here with the top program consecutively, you will get a bonus. Now, coming to the ARC card. ARC stands for Alien Registration Card. Your ARC card is like your ID, your legal ID while you're here in Korea. You will pay 60,000 Korean won for your ARC card, which is equivalent to 756 rands. And you will also need to pay an extra 4,000 Korean won, which is equivalent to about 50 rands for shipping. Once you get to the immigration office, you will apply for your ARC and you will give them an address as to where to ship your card. So that's what the 50 rands is for. And if you don't bring pictures with you, you will also need to get pictures at the immigration office. I don't remember how much that is. Pension fund. South Africans are exempt from paying pension with the top program. But for those who are coming from other countries who do have to pay the pension fund, it is about 135,000 Korean won a month. Medical insurance. When I first arrived as a 22nd gen scholar, I have not been paying medical insurance up till now. Until next, February 2020, I will start paying my medical insurance. From February 2020, I will start paying my medical insurance, as will you. And that is 110,000 Korean won. But how my mentor teacher explained it is the school will pay half and you will pay half. So the school will pay 55,000 Korean won for you and you will pay 55,000 Korean won. This is every month when you get paid for your medical insurance. Taxes. If you have your certificate of residency, which you will get from SARS, I believe you do not have to pay taxes. But if you don't, you will have to pay taxes. And I believe taxes are about 20,000 to 30,000 Korean won, which is about 252 to 378 rands. But things like pension and medical insurance and taxes, you don't have to worry about that up until your first paycheck. So they will not be deducting that from you once you get here before you even get paid. No, that starts happening once you start getting paid. Okay. So once again, I hope this video was very helpful. I hope that now you have all your costs down. This is not exactly what you're going to need, but it's a good estimate of what you will need when you first arrive in Korea. According to the talk program, they advise us to bring at least $1,000 for the first month, which is plus minus 14,000 rands. Well, that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Let's interact on social media once again. I'm K2 Tiara on Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram, not so active on Twitter. Thank you for watching once again. It's all love from me to you.